Good evening, everyone. I do hope you're having a good day. Um, I'm coming to you today. I'm going to do like a throwback to dealing with darkness, and that's because someone contacted me the other day with regards to um, facing fear and anxiety. So I just thought I should do a video because it made me realize, due to the times we're living in, there are most likely other people who are also experiencing fear and anxiety around the coronavirus. So I'm going to be talking today about how to deal with fear. So dealing with darkness, how to deal with fear. Okay, just to a throwback, a reminder of the definition of darkness. That's an absence of light. And one of the definitions that I found of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the threats of danger, pain, or harm. So the key word that I want you to note there is emotion. Okay? Before we carry on, please go ahead and subscribe. This is going to be on YouTube, so go ahead and subscribe and share this with whoever needs to hear it at this time. It could be a message of hope, and could help equip them as in facing fear. Okay, so just to tell your story, start off with a story. So a couple years ago, I had worked really hard on my degree, and worked really hard on in law school. When I finished studying, though, I found it difficult um, to locate a training contract, which was the next step in the process of becoming a lawyer. So you had to have a training contract for 2 years, but they were few and far between. So I struggled to find one. But I finally, after many tears, many applications, many nights of prayer, I finally found a role as a paralegal in a national firm. And it was good. Everything was good. I enjoyed working there. I learned quite a bit. But then I hit some hard times. And then when I hit those hard times, I started to entertain fear. So I had a fear that I was going to lose my job. And my fear was so potent. It was very present with me and on my mind and during the course of the day. And eventually, what happened was I lost my job. So I learned through that experience that fear can act as a magnet, and it essentially attracted the thing which I feared the most. It actually happened. It came into existence. So this video is going to be equipping you and helping you deal with fear. Okay? So sometimes fear is referred to, like an acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. And this is rather a hopeful acronym. However, the reality is that in most cases, the thing that we fear is actually real. So, right now, the coronavirus is real. People have died from the coronavirus. This is not false evidence. This is actually a real situation. It's actually a real virus. It's a real disease. It's a real virus, and it's out there, and people are contracting this virus. However, the distinction that is to be made is the thing that you fear. It might be real, but is it real in your life? That's the key. So, for instance, if so, we know that the coronavirus is real, but the question is, do you have the coronavirus? And if you don't have the coronavirus, then you should equip yourself so that you do not allow fear take you to a place whereby you are vulnerable to attracting the coronavirus into your life. Okay, so like I said, I wanted you to just note the word emotion, because like love, hate, jealousy, happiness, fear is also an emotion which you have control over. So that's really important, that you can exert control over your emotions, and fear is just the same. So you can experience love in your heart, but the way that you express that love, you have control over that. You can experience hate. Hate can come into your heart, but whether you choose to express it or to expel it, that's down to you. The same The same with jealousy. Jealousy can come knocking on your heart, whether you allow it to be expressed or whether you kick it out. That's down to your control. So fear is exactly the same thing. It's an emotion that knocks on the hearts of everyone. However, some people allow it to stay and they feel like fear controls them. Whereas the truth is, you are always in control of your emotions. That's the number one key. You are always in control of your emotions. Okay? So let's look at some distinctions as it relates to fear, because one of the distinctions that I've identified, and it's commonly known, not all fear is bad. So some types of fear are there to protect you. So, and children, babies have fear. They don't really know anything, but some babies fear being dropped. So when they feel like you're going to drop them, they cringe, and you see them sort of tighten up, and they're afraid that you're going to drop them. It's a protective instinct that we are all born with. So it's fear that triggers the fight or flight response. So for instance, a person might have a fear of being run down by a car, knocked over by a car. And so what that fear does is it protects them and enables them to use the road laws that are available to them, use the traffic lights, and cross the road sensibly. Yeah? So sometimes fear has a protective element to it, so not all fear is bad. However, that should be distinguished from the fear that paralyzes or influences every action or decision that you take. That kind of fear can be detrimental in the long run, and it can lead to illness, mental health issues, physical illness. Fear has the power to attract illness into a person's life. So fear is not something to be played with. It's not something to be entertained or tolerated. It's something that you must control and evict as soon as possible. The key thing is to be conscious and to be equipped. I'm going to provide you with some tips to help you do that. Okay. I'd like to also identify some fallacies as it relates to fear. So one of the fallacies that I've put down here is the superhuman fallacy. So some people feel like they're people that exist that never experience fear. Now, regardless of how confident a person might look in person, regardless of how flawless they look on social media, the reality, my friend, is that everyone experiences fear in one way or the other. And unknown to you, they might actually be battling fear at the present moment, but you just don't know that because you can see all the glitz and the glamour, and you can see the pictures that they provide to you. But in their private moments and in the privacy of their homes and the privacy of their hearts, they might actually be dealing with fear, just like you. The second fallacy I've put down is perfection. This fallacy actually addresses the commonly held belief that all fear must be eliminated before some great feat is accomplished. This is a fallacy, and it's untrue, because some great accomplishments, I won't say all because I don't know that as a fact, but those who go on to accomplish great feats, some of them would have been experiencing fear at the time that they were moving forward. However, in life, what they decided to do was to feel the fear and do it anyway. So if they've done it, you can also do it as well. Another fallacy that I've noted down is, I've put it as banishment. So the fallacy that fear is an emotion that ceases to exist in a person completely. This is untrue. So just like love will knock on your heart at different stages of your life, different experiences will either increase or decrease your love for a person. It's the same with fear. Fear at different stages of life, at different occurrences, at different challenges that you face, fear will come and knock on your heart. The question is whether you let it in. That's your choice. The second question is, if you let it in, how long do you allow it to stay? Now, again, that's your choice. The thing with fear is that it's quite presumptuous. If you allow fear to come into your heart and to get comfortable in your heart, it's quite presumptuous. It will definitely get comfortable, and it'll get so comfortable that it will invite other emotions like panic and anxiety, right? So it will bring its friends along, and that's not something that you want, because it diminishes your quality of life. So it's important to note, to remember that fear is a visitor. It's an emotion that visits everyone, but you decide whether you're going to let it in. And if you let it in, like momentarily, we all experience fear, like our hearts beating, we imagine the worst happening. But then, how long do you entertain that thought? The power is in your hands. So you need to be conscious and be aware of what's going on in your heart. So, how do you deal with fear? I'm going to provide you with some tips. Dealing with fear, I want you to visualize an oven and the knob on an oven. On this knob, you have the power to turn the temperature to 250 Celsius, for instance, or to leave it at maybe 50 Celsius. The heat that the oven represents, the heat that the oven generates represents the degree of fear that you allow to stay in your heart, right? So when you think about fear, I want you to think about fear in degrees. So this involves looking at the situation objectively and allowing yourself to consider the possibilities or the threats that you're facing. So for instance, contracting the coronavirus is a real threat. However, if you do not presently have the coronavirus, recognize that as your reality. So it's a threat, it's a possibility, but is it a reality for you? If the answer is no, then recognize that, okay? Next, deal with the threat. So fear often comes with a threat that something is going to happen. Most often people get paralyzed and think, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and they shut down, do nothing, and just stay in some corner in their minds and just feel paralyzed and helpless to do anything about what they're facing. But the key in such situations is to take your power back by taking action. So as it relates to the coronavirus, your reality presently is that you do not have the coronavirus. That's great. Now, what action can you take to make sure that the coronavirus does not become a reality within your power? It doesn't become a reality in your life. What do you do? They've given us the information. It's public knowledge. Eat healthily, exercise, rest, personal hygiene. When you're out, have protective masks. I still don't have one. Pardon me, I still don't have one. Just confess, I still don't have a mask. Use hand sanitizer. Wash your hands more regularly. Don't touch your face. Things like that. So they've given us the guidance. So your job is to follow it. Be obedient. Follow the guidance. You're taking action. So when you know that you're taking action, that should help you dial down. So when you know you're taking action, when fear comes to knock on your heart, that should help you dial down the degree, so the temperature. So if you were at like 50, you think, oh my God, I'm gonna get coronavirus. When that thought comes to your heart, you can think, no, I'm following the guidelines. I'm gonna be good. You dial it down and you stay calm because you're doing something about this within your power. Some things are out of our control. Do what is in your control to do. For instance, the reality with people out there is job loss. Some people have lost their jobs. That's a real thing. Now, such a person might fear homelessness, for instance. Now, that person might just think, oh, this is something that I've done. Like, you're so paralyzed by fear. You imagine the worst, and that by imagining the worst, you just do absolutely nothing. Take the power back. So, liaise with mortgage lenders or your landlord, whatever the case may be, to see what arrangements you can reach with them. Do your research to see what assistance is out there for people who are unemployed in this time, because these are unique circumstances. Consider what non-essential services can be cancelled or suspended. Contact your service providers, gas, electricity, heating. Have a discussion with them and see what arrangements you can reach with them. So the key is to take action, and what happens is that sometimes you're not aware of all actions that you need to take, but maybe you might go to the mortgage lender, you're having a conversation with them, and they might say, oh yes, this is available to some people who are unemployed. Now you have new information, then you can take that next step, and you get to that next place and they say, oh yes, this is available to, you see. So it's almost like a domino effect, but you'll never know until you actually step out, go out there and start to take action and do what you actually know and are aware of. Okay, so take action, take your power back, take action. Next is media access. It's important at this time to limit your access to the media, be it social media, be it the news, newspapers, these videos that people pass on WhatsApp with all the experts talking about all the various cures and all the various circumstances surrounding the coronavirus, various conspiracy theories and all of this. Like, it's a lot of information out there. It can be overwhelming. It can contribute to increasing the knob, so increasing the degree of your fear. It can contribute to actually increasing it. So in order to take control and to evict fear from your life, or at least to reduce it in the first instance, limit your access and your exposure to such information, and observe yourself. Observe yourself after you've watched the news, after you've gone on social media, after you've listened to those videos and stuff. How are you feeling? Take time to observe yourself. And if you find that you are more fearful, you're more panic, you have more worrisome thoughts, then surely that tells you, that's very clear information that what the food that you're ingested mentally is not good for you. So reduce your exposure to the media, okay, in all its various forms. Next, communication. Be careful of your interactions. You might find that you're having a day whereby your fear level is maybe at 5, but then you speak to somebody who's experiencing fear at a level 50, and then by the time they talk to you and you're talking with them constantly, you find by the end of the day that your fear level is now maybe going on to 75, because you had your fear level and then they've come with theirs, and you've just added some more on that, and you've just increased the temperature on your fear level. So be very aware about what people are depositing within you without you even knowing. Be very aware of the content of your communication. If it's fear-filled, then definitely it will generate fear. So like, apple seeds do not generate oranges. It's just the law of nature. So what you put in is what you'll give out. And that's not to say that you're not to communicate completely with people like that, because sometimes you might just be the only ray of hope or the only light that they have. But what I am saying is protect yourself. So if you used to talk with them 5 times a week, maybe reduce that to 2 or to 3, and just protect yourself is what I'm saying. Be aware of the impact that they're having on you and protect yourself. Over time, the final thing that helps me as well is listening to like jazz instrumental, having like sounds of water, sounds of the wind blowing. It's very soothing, it's very calming. At the end of the day, just have that on, do some reading, and it's very relaxing, and it helps to really reduce fear and eliminate it. Over time, as you follow the tips that I've provided, what you should see is that even though you might experience fear, instead of experiencing fear on a daily basis, what you might find happening is that fear only occurs momentarily. So maybe you're facing a new challenge and then you think, oh my God, I can't do this, and then you think, no, I can do this. So like, this is what I can do about the situation. So you focus on what you can do as it relates to that situation, and you take your power back by taking action. So over time, when fear comes, you recognize it as a visitor and you limit its stay. Okay? So these are my tips for you. Please go ahead and subscribe so you're notified of future videos. Please feel free to share this with whoever you think needs to hear it. Until next time, do stay safe. Take it easy. Bye.